Hello, I'm Kimberly Muhtar. Welcome back to the Renewed Mama Podcast, a Speak Life Badges podcast. I've got a story for you today. It's my story. I thought, here we are at episode 36, and I haven't told you my whole story and why I do what I do. I love hearing other people's stories, and I hope that my story encourages you as a mom who wants to think right, speak right, and respond right for your own life, your marriage, your parenting, and in your work or business. Andrew and I have been married for 18 years. Woohoo! We met through his best friend Nick while I was in college in Florida. We dated while I taught high school back home in Pennsylvania. We got married and he brought me to Canada. I love calling the United States and Canada home. Andrew and I enjoyed 5 years of marital bliss. Andrew is a visionary. He's creative. He's an amazing problem solver. We had lots of fun trying out businesses, attending real estate investing conferences, and just being together. We both had great jobs. We lived in a nice townhouse, owned our 2 cars, and didn't have to think twice about what we bought or how much we spent. Life was good. Then we had Karis, our first baby, and that was a whole new territory for me. I didn't grow up around a lot of baby cousins. I didn't have younger siblings. I didn't have a lot of babysitting experience. And I had a hard time giving up my independence. Now this sweet baby needed everything from me, and I was a little shocked when Andrew was needy too. We didn't know how to communicate well through this baby transition. Our Karis surprised us by coming 2 weeks early, and I remember holding her, sitting at my desk at home with all our tax papers everywhere, trying to get her to sleep and feeling so much pressure to get the bookwork done so that we could file our taxes. I had planned to do these taxes in the 2 weeks before she came. That's just one example of how the way I expected or wanted things to go didn't. I don't know if I realized it then, but I know it now. I had established some expectations over those 5 years about our always clean and tidy house, the ample time to spend together, just the 2 of us, whose responsibilities were whose, all of which got messed up, and somehow we didn't have the maturity to deal with it properly. We upgraded our townhouse to a big, beautiful home because our baby needed a backyard to play in. We upgraded our car. I stayed home with Karis, and we began to feel that financial pinch. We were still pursuing our businesses and our real estate goals, but a long story short, the reality was that we were struggling. Remember, we looked good on the outside, but it was a different story on the inside. I didn't know who to talk to about our struggles. I didn't want to talk to my mom because I wanted her to think that everything was peachy. I felt alone. How the enemy wants you to feel alone, as if no one else is struggling like you are. I was stressed, overwhelmed, always saying I didn't have enough time, working so hard and seeing very little results. I didn't like it when I shouted at my kids. I was short with Andrew, judgmental of him. It was like he couldn't do anything right. He wasn't good enough. But I was feeling like I wasn't getting anything right either. I wasn't good enough either. I was just passing that frustration on to him. How we hurt those we love the most. The opposite was true about Andrew. He was and he is a faithful husband. He provides. He's a hard worker, generous on all occasions, so fun to be with, loves Jesus, is teachable, and willing to grow. He's an amazing source of wisdom and a great sounding board for ideas. He's always willing to help. I just needed to be willing to ask. And in all of that, it felt like we didn't have enough money to buy something as simple as a can of paint to repaint a bedroom. Can you see the turmoil that was happening inside our home? Have you ever felt any of this? I let the spirit of negativity, judgment, and criticism take up residence in my heart and in my mind. I was a perfectionist and I wanted things to be perfect. It was unrealistic to think that it would be, but I couldn't put that into words like I can now. I had full belief that I could succeed in my business, but when it took longer than I expected, because there's a learning curve to anything new, I was hard on myself. I didn't like the mom and the wife I was becoming, and I didn't know how to change that. I focused on the overwhelm, the stress, the feelings of not good enough, always behind, running late, and I listened to those lies. They filled my thoughts and became the words that I spoke out. I fed this critical spirit whenever I didn't know how to calm the temper tantrums, whenever I couldn't get everyone out the door on time, whenever I couldn't communicate with Andrew or my girls, when I couldn't keep the house tidy. Even the little things set me off. You and I both know that what you focus on, you will have more of. So my wrong thoughts became what I spoke out loud and how I responded. My default response was to shout at my kids, to be negative and critical. Why'd you do that? What were you thinking? No way, that's not how we do it here. It's just faster if I do it for you. We had baby number 2 and some friends told us about a business conference they had been to. I practically kicked Andrew out the door to attend this business conference because he needed help. He came back from that business conference a changed man. He apologized and took responsibility for the mess we were in. He wanted to make changes for the better. I said, whatever happened to you at that conference, I like it and I want it too. We didn't just learn about how to grow our businesses, we learned communication skills. We learned time management, about each other's personalities and how to honor each other. It finally made sense how in our stress, our overwhelm, and our financial pressure, we were responding from our own place of safety and security, which was opposite to each other. So we were actually clashing and not humbling ourselves enough to understand why. We acknowledged how we let ego and pride have their first place in our lives. Remember wanting to look good on the outside like we had it all together? We got teachable, we listened, we followed directions, we made changes, and we did it together. It didn't happen overnight, but little by little we made heart, attitude, and mindset changes for the better. I got back to reading God's Word, the Bible, and God helped me learn that the mouth speaks out that which fills the heart. As a man thinks, so is he. Whew, I knew those verses, but now I understood what they actually meant. When I stopped and looked at the fruit in my life, like the fly on the wall, looking into my life, what was being played out in my actions, how I was responding, how I was or wasn't succeeding, I realized the main problem was my thoughts, my thinking. The words I was repeating in my head like a broken record was all wrong. Again, my thoughts were full of lies and defeat, and it was coming out of my mouth and spilling all over my sweet children and my husband. It wasn't good. God and I journeyed through His Word, and I became very intentional with my thoughts, the words I was saying, and how I was responding. I acknowledged them and then said, okay, how can I change this, God? What does your word say about this? It was a slow but a good work of changing my default thoughts, the words, and how I responded to mirror what God says in His Word. To focus on the truth and not how I was feeling, especially when I felt overwhelmed or not having things under control. When a situation would come up that was a trigger, I stopped and said, wait, what's actually going on here? What does God say about this? I can think right in this moment. I can speak right. I can respond right. I want to. I worship Him when I do. Many times my kids would say, Mommy, why are you looking at me like that? And it was because I was having this dialogue in my head. Okay, what's actually going on here? What does God say about this? I can think right. I can speak right. I can respond right. I want to. I worship Him when I do. If it involved my kids, I would also think, okay, what do they need to hear in this moment? How can I help them? The goal is to help them to grow too, right? To help them to think right and to speak right and to respond right for themselves. I encourage you to listen to 2 episodes of the Renewed Mama podcast. Episode 1, What's in Your Word Bank? There's a free PDF word bank. Grab that and do the work of intentionally writing down the words you are thinking and speaking, like I did. Evaluate them, even if it's painful or eye-opening, and decide what do you want to keep repeating and what have you got to kick out and replace with the truth. Also listen to episode 11 called What Are You Saying Again and Again? I talk about words that you are repeating again and again without even realizing it and how that is affecting you. The link for both of these podcast episodes are in the show notes. During this time, I was tutoring. Students would come in and then leave, and when we wouldn't get the breakthrough that I was hoping for, I sensed that something was off. I'd review the session in my mind and ask God, what does this child need to hear? There's more to life than just math. What is the truth that you want them to hear, God? I didn't know what happened at school or what was happening at home, but God cared about them, and what was it that He wanted them to know? I'd write down in their file folder what I thought I should say during the next session. Then I'd ask, when should I say it? At the start of the session when they walk in the door, or when I give them the math page or the reading page, or should I say this at the end before they leave? I became super intentional with each student, not just with the individualized activities or the exercises we did, but also with what I said. Before they came in for their next session, I'd look over my notes to remind myself, I'd pray, and then I'd say it. And it worked. Their beliefs changed from, I can't do this. Why do I have to do this? It's too hard, to, I can do this. I'll keep trying. Parents would say, I don't know what you said or did, but she left your session a different person. So happy. Then in January of 2017, while attending a conference, I asked God, what can I do for you? And I had the vision of the "Hello, my name is" stickers that you wear at meet and greets. But I knew God wanted these stickers to be for children and needed to speak to their character, their identity, who God created them to be, by saying phrases like, I am brave, I overcame fear, I am kind, I can do the hard stuff, I use my energy to do amazing work. I am loved. I am a winner. I am wise. I speak the truth. I share. Before I left the conference, I had all of the sticker badges written down and was already writing the scripts or suggested words for parents and teachers to say to their child as they awarded them the Speak Life badge. And that's how Speak Life badges began. I went home and printed off Avery stickers with the badge phrases and began using them and the scripts on my children and tutoring students. Parents began wanting the stickers and scripts so that they could give them to their child and speak a better word over their children instead of being negative or defaulting to shouting. Like Annie, who said, "I have been desperately praying and asking God to guide me in my parenting challenges when I tried out Speak Life badges. I had the most eye-opening experience with this badge system. It helped me to see how praise and encouragement can not only get you better results, but also build your children up in their character. It's so easy to get into the routine of getting upset, but this really helped me keep on a better track." Annie also said, "I was very frustrated, and my next step would have been to sit her son Noah on a timeout. By taking the time to read the positive, encouraging scripts to him, I found that it helped most. I really found that what you wrote was helpful to use as a guideline. One of Jesse's badges was the 'I had a great smile today.' I gave it to him 2 weeks ago. Now when I comment on his smile, he has been giving me this cute, funny little smile every time." This has definitely been a helpful book for us. Noah asked me today if he could please have a new badge. He has them all saved in a bin where he keeps all of his special things. This is beneficial to parents, teachers, anyone working with children. Taking time to expand and acknowledge the positives is so important, and that is what your book helps me to remember and to do more of. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Stories like Annie's is why I do what I do with Speak Life badges. It dawned on me not long ago how there has been such an attack on our identity. The agenda to demoralize our children feels rampant, but there are just as many confused adults who are leading children astray. When we deviate from Genesis 1:27 and Genesis 5:2 and Mark 10:6, where it says that God created them male and female, we are in trouble. When we think that how we have been created is all wrong and we need to alter that, we are in trouble. Why? Because God says that we were created in the likeness of God, and He said that all that He made is very good. Stand firm against any plot or teaching or pharma whose goal is to steal, kill, and destroy, because we know that comes from the enemy, Satan. No wonder God gave me the idea of Speak Life badges. It's a tool to help you to plant the right seeds of identity, value, purpose, character, and truth in the hearts of your children. You know, I'm still on this Speak Life journey myself. Each day, I have to stop myself and check in with what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, and how I am responding in each area of my life. It's not a one-time thing. Sometimes it's a moment-by-moment checking in. You and I both know that 1 minute things can be going along just fine, and the next minute we are all upset, annoyed by the kids, and responding in a way that just makes us feel guilty. We need to go back and ask for forgiveness. That's why I began the Renewed Mama podcast, to help us to stay renewed mamas together. Not the roller coaster mama, up, down, all around, but steady, strong, intentional, teachable, willing to humble ourselves and make it right when we mess up, and thriving, all because we think right, speak right, and respond right, even in the midst of spilt milk, temper tantrums, and up in the middle of the night moments. When the world was told to stay home, Andrew and I said, well, why don't we help encourage children while they're at home? Why don't we help teach them truth, life lessons in a fun way with fun activities that's less screen time? So we came up with Austin's Kids Club. Austin is the mascot that is all throughout the sticker award books and our I Am Loved journal for kids ages 7 to 12. He journeys with them all throughout the journal. So we said, let's take Austin and let's have him make Austin's Kids Club. And we created postcards, fun activities for kids to do, crafts that teach life lessons, things that they're going to need to know about speaking truth, about watching their screen time, about being thankful, about the importance of their words, happy birthday cards. We started sending these postcards to children all over the United States and Canada. And when parents say that their children keep Austin's postcards in their special box or drawer, or they want to make a scrapbook out of them, or that Austin's coloring pages are hanging on their fridge, that just fills me up. I love being Austin the Hedgehog in disguise. So that's my story. I'm so grateful to be married to Andrew, to have our 3 beautiful children, for the gift of homeschooling them and then spending my afternoons helping other amazing children love learning again through my tutoring. I love helping you to speak life, God's truth, over your children in a fun way through Speak Life badges. And I want to encourage you to think right, to speak right, and to respond right from my mama's heart to yours through this Renewed Mama podcast. And I love being creative and designing Austin's mailbox surprises. I envision each child being so excited to check their mailbox for another surprise postcard. One time, my daughter, while giving me a big hug, shouted, "You are the best mommy ever." It was because I had just given them extra iPad time. I said, "Oh, that doesn't make me the best mommy ever." Tell me I'm the best mommy ever when I think right, I speak right, and I respond right. I bless you, Mama. John 1:16 says, "Of his fullness we have all received grace upon grace." From Jesus, through his death on the cross, you have received his kingdom fullness. That's salvation, health, provision, favor, victory, and wisdom. There was already grace for you through Jesus Christ, and he keeps extending more and more grace and favor. Do the same for your husband and children. Extend grace upon grace in how you think, how you speak, and how you respond. I would love to hear your story. Tell me about you, what you do, and why you do it in the comments below. Be sure to add the Renewed Mama podcast to your favorites for a deeper, practical, we're in this together connection. Follow or subscribe so you won't miss an upcoming episode. Would you DM 3 mamas you know who can relate to my story so that they can be encouraged and renewed too? Lots of love. Bye.